All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Liz Schaller. I am the director of the NIMAC and happy to welcome you today to session 2 of our Braille 2000 NIMAS textbook transcription from start to finish series led by Rosemary Horton Baggott. She's an expert Braille 2000 transcriber, and we're so happy to have her with us today. If you On the screen here, you'll see what we have coming up with our next sessions, our remaining sessions. So sessions 3 and 4 will be really getting into the nitty-gritty with editing and formatting. Then session 5, we're going to kind of take a deep dive on math specifically. And then to wrap up session 6, the NIMAC will talk to you a little bit about the eBraille file format and kind of the timeline on eBraille production, where we're at right now. And then we'll also have some time for Q&A. We've been taking your questions throughout in the chat and then in the exit surveys as well. We're compiling them, the ones especially that we don't have time to get to during a regular session. We'll talk about those during the Q&A in session 6. So please do join us for that. All of our sessions are held on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern for the next month or so. So with that, we can go ahead and get started, Rosemary.
Oh, this is where you go.
All right, so today for session 2, we're going to look at file setup, getting your transcription set up, and then your transcriber generated pages. So kind of the bit in the front matter. And today, the overall purpose of this series is to convert a NIMAS file into Braille text using Braille 2000. And so today, when we look at the process points, the first 2 were covered during session 1, where we talked about how to access a NIMAS file from the NIMAC website, and then also how to download, save, and convert that file to a Braille file using both Braille Blaster and Braille 2000. That recorded session 1 is posted on our website. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at it yet, or you weren't able to join us, you can take a look at that and get caught up on those 2 pieces of our process. And then today, we're going to really start to get into formatting and editing that Braille file. So our day 2 overview, we have a very ambitious day ahead. First, we're going to go over some slides where Rosemary's outlined the various topics that we're going to touch on today. And then we're going to switch gears about halfway through to our demo, where Rosemary is going to demonstrate how to do the things in Braille 2000 that we talked about during the slides. So that includes initial formatting, that includes your transcriber generated pages, your pagination, your running heads, and utilizing bookmarks in Braille 2000. Your learning objectives for today. The first is to learn how to use a NIMAS file to create a title page in Braille 2000. The second is to learn how to set up your transcriber generated pages, including the pagination and running head in Braille 2000. And then finally, to learn how to use bookmarks for navigation in Braille 2000. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, so hello, everybody. Our starting point for Braille transcription is Braille formats, which includes the instructions on how to format different aspects of textbooks. I'll be referring to it throughout as formats. The Braille Authority of North America BANA website is where you'll find it. If you look here, you see that it's available in different forms. Once you get onto the BANA website, you go to Codes and Guidelines, and formats is available as a download, either in BRF or PDF files. There's a hard copy available through APH, and then there's an online HTML version, which is my preference. I like the just the navigation through that. So there are also several recent updates to formats. They're listed on the page, on the first page, and they were posted June 2024. So if you haven't looked at those, it'd be important to do that. I'll be referencing the addendum and one of the items on the errata page today. What we do. So let's see. I have a note to myself to emphasize the transcriber's need to first examine the print copy and make initial formatting decisions to save time and consistency throughout the text. So yeah, things that are important. NIMAS files provide the general formatting, but the transcriber must adapt the file to cover before. Important things in Braille transcription are accuracy and consistency. That's why we look ahead of time. Where are we going to put this type of heading? For example, stay consistent throughout the volume. There have been times in the past where I've been tempted to say, oh, I really wish I'd done it this way. I think this would have been better. It's too late if I've already sent in several volumes. So that's why we look ahead of time to stay consistent for the sake of the reader. There are some agency preferences, especially on the title page, which we'll look at how to format those. And just some transcriber does not edit, but may have to edit, does not edit text. We don't never change the text, but we would edit the formatting based on formatting decisions and formats. So, setting up our volumes, the first Braille 2000 default on the way things are imported is based on formats. Even actually before we talk about importing, when you open a Braille 2000 page, the default is set at the page size, line length, and line spacing recommended in format. So we have I'm actually sharing over here, right? The 25 lines, 11 by 11 by 11 and a half inch paper, 25 lines, 40 cells per line, single line spacing. That's in there. If you never ever need to transcribe a book with different guidelines, if there's agency wants a different print size or something else, just contact Braille 2000 customer support. And unless you like reading the manual, there's the manual. It's very huge and large and big. So I contact customer support. Volume 1, information. Showed this kind of how to do this last week, just how to set up, if you have a very large book, or this was already demonstrated, how to save your files on your PC based on main volume, preliminary, and supplementary, if it's a big book. The book I'm using for a lot of my demo this time is a small one, so it's just all in one volume. It depends on how you prefer to work and how much information's in the file. So, Liz
Yeah,
has,
with that, let's see if there are any questions. One person did ask about during the math session if the focus would be on UEB or Nemeth. I said Nemeth. I think that's right, Rosemary. Is that accurate for session 5?
I kind of cover both.
Okay, okay, some of both.
And I definitely can because, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
Oh, great.
I find a lot more in UEB nowadays, but I
Okay.
did for 30 some years before that, so we can make.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Perfect. That's great. And I realized I didn't launch our intro poll, so let me just do that real quick so we can find out who's with us in the room today. Um, which option best describes your role? Are you a NIMAC authorized user or state coordinator? Are you a NIMAC AMP? Are you a Braille transcriber who's not registered with the NIMAC? Are you a TVI or paraprofessional or other? Please take just a moment to respond so we can learn a little more about who's joining us today. Okay, great. Share results. So it looks like about half of our folks are NIMAC users, and then the other half are not, don't currently have accounts with us. So we're so glad you joined us today. And now the second poll question is getting at what Rosemary was just talking about, which is how you kind of document those decisions that you make at the outset of your transcription project. So I'm curious, how do you document your initial formatting decisions when you're transcribing a textbook? Do you document those by hand? Do you create a note stock in Word? Do you not currently have a process for doing that? Or other? And if you say other, please do say in the chat what your approach is to documenting your initial formatting decisions. We'd love to know. It's an interesting profession, Rosemary, because I've definitely found in our years of working with transcribers that people like to do things differently. They have their way. So, and I always enjoy learning more about how folks approach the different tasks involved in transcription work.
I like that other option on anything. I get tempted to, you can get real creative with that, with a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Go ahead and end the poll. Let's see. So let's see. We have about 10 folks like to document their decision making by hand. And then about 8 folks say they create a note stock in Word. And then 7 folks don't currently have a process. That's interesting. And then one person did say other. Oh, markup in the PDF with links. Oh, that's a good idea. I should have put that as an option. I like that. Great. Well, thank you all so much for participating in that. And Rosemary, if you want to kind of jump into title pages.
Doesn't want to move. There we go. Okay. So yes, very first thing we do typically are the transcriber generated pages, which include the title page, any transcriber's note page, special symbols page, anything at the beginning of the volume. So for the title page, this is probably going to be the most involved cutting and pasting complicated process. I go back and forth between agency specs and formats. If the agencies have a preference, that's we follow that, and everything after that is based on formats. Very important to check the copyright date against the print text because there are, and even sometimes the printing, sometimes there's a single copyright and has multiple printings. If you notice, if you're starting to go through your NIMAS file and find any discrepancies in context, in content, the text, check the copyright. Better yet, check the copyright before you get there. I've done it both ways. In the initial volume, on the title page, the items that are required per formats are a title segment, an author segment, publisher and copyright segment. There's going to be an addendum we look at today about that. Um, transcriber, transcription segment, and then the volume information. So the complete title appears on the first line of the title page, centered and centered on the first page of text. It's in 2 different locations in the book. Title page, I don't know if there are places, agencies, or even formats that say to center the items on the title page. The agency I do most of my work with, it's left, they want it to the left margin. I think that's pretty much what everybody does, but I could be wrong. So check that out against formats and your agency. But yes, first line of the title page and center on the first page of text. The Braille command for running head, which you'll need a running head on each page, is do page control. Oh, never mind. See, I had to move you guys out of the way. That's it to omit the running head on the first page of the text. I will demonstrate that later. Since the title is on the first page is centered on the first page of text, this will be after the preliminary pages. You want to remove the running head, and there is a way to do that. The second title page includes information that would not fit on the title page, as well as additional information in the book's front matter. And we'll show how to select that from NIMAS file and do it. This is an example of a print title page from the NIMAS file. This is the PDF that came in with the NIMAS file. So you have this available, and the items circled in red are things that go on the first title page. You have your title, copyright, and publisher information. The ISBN happens to be at the bottom, but it belongs in a different place on the page. So just check this out. The blue box is around material that I thought might go on the second page. It's information about the series and the organization. Some of this I think is judgment call, but Formats has instructions on what to pick for the second page. So we'll demonstrate that later. And any questions there? Shall I go on to pagination?
Let's see. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. One person, Angela, did note that I think in relation to what you mentioned earlier about splitting up the files and kind of making structuring decisions that she always chooses to make sure that volumes are divided at the end of a unit or chapter so that the student doesn't have to carry home two Braille books just to read a few pages. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's recommended in formats too, and we'll cover that either in this one or I think when we get into next time on table of contents. So yes, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, and table of contents will help with that too, knowing where to divide.
And
So,
another person did and mention one other thing that he does to document his project was that he wrote a small program in Python that he uses to kind of keep track of the or document the changes that he makes in the file separately as he goes.
okay,
All right.
thank you. Ready to go to.
Yeah.
So pagination, which basically said, that was a new word to me a couple of years ago. Like, what's that? It's just setting your page numbers in Braille 2000. So if anybody's wondering, I did too. So setting the page numbers in Braille 2000, the beginning pages, according to formats, the title, special symbols, and transcribers notes pages typically do not have any print page numbers, but the Braille page numbers in the bottom right of the page are preceded by the letter T for transcriber. The table of contents follows the transcriber's notes page and it's a P page. It's page P1 unless there is other information that goes in the beginning of the book. And I've found formats to be a little confusing on this. But my understanding, I think this is actually right from formats. When there's other book jacket information, the table of contents is the last of this information, in which case it would not be on page P1. So just to clarify that, and again, I'll show that today. And this top block is a repeat. Talk about that. So down to the body matter, once you finish the table of contents, you start the Braille page numbers begin with page 1, and the print page numbers you follow. It either begins with page 1, or if the first print page number shown is, say, 3, for example, because they sometimes in the beginning of books, they're understood page numbers and the text actually starts on 3. Then on the first page of the body matter, we do 1-3 as your page number. Generating pages in Braille 2000 is wonderfully easy. I was so grateful to learn this years ago after doing all that stuff manually. The pagination for the entire volume is automatically generated. The print pages are brought in. And then the Braille pages are the ones, well, either one. The command for entering them is do page number, quick setup for, and you'll see the quick setup for, and then explore the options. And I'll actually, here it is. Yeah. So when you enter do or Alt D, I use for do, the page numbering drop down menu is P, and I'll show that. You have this, it says quick setup for, and there's a drop down menu here, and you choose. Literary is no longer an option. It's still in Braille 2000. I mean, it's still here, but according to formats, we use textbook. So you select textbook, hit OK, and this is what the next page will get. And here's where you set your print page numbers and your Braille page numbers with direct entry. And we'll do that later. So to advance pages in Braille 2000, to advance to the next Braille page, the command is do page control, which is the letter C. And then it pulls up some options. Most of the time I'm just hitting enter, but I'll show some different options for if you want to do something different. Braille 2000 will automatically add the continuation numbers. I'd be curious if anybody does not know what these are, just put it in the chat and then I'll answer that at the end of this section. Liz will see that. To advance to the next print page, the command is do next print page or N, and it'll take you to the next print page. It'll inserts the page change line and new print page number. And when the cursor is on line 25, the command will just advance to the page number will begin at the next page number. 25 will be blank. Oops. So any because on what in the world are continuation numbers, which
No, I didn't know. No one put it in the chat, so I guess everyone must already know, which is good.
termination. Yeah, I remember when I was like, what do they mean continuation numbers? But we'll cover them in the demo too. Okay, running heads at the top of every page in the text, except the title page and the first page of text, there is a running head. It's a title that you create. It's not the exact title. It's something the transcriber creates that reflects the title of the book, but fits on a line. There have to be at least 3 cells to the left between the margin and the beginning of the running head. And at the end of the running head, there have to be at least 3 blank cells before the page number. So I'll demonstrate that. It's an easy setup in Braille 2000. In the menu, it's like do R for running head, and then pulls up a box, whatever you call them. You enter it directly, hit OK, and it enters on every page of the text. It comes in centered on the first line of every page. I talked about the exceptions. I probably have this in here a couple places, but when you get to the first page of text and you want to admit the running head, this would be after your table of contents. On the page before, where you have your cursor, you enter do the page control, and every other time I just hit enter after the page control and it jumps to the next page. But I'll show you, I don't have a picture on here, but I'll show you how there are options within that page control box, and you select omit running head and then hit enter, and the cursor jumps to the beginning of the next page and there's no running head and you can enter your title. So we'll do that later. That's it on running heads.
I don't see any questions in the chat, but I actually have a question for you, Rosemary. Because of the kind of the rules around the formatting of the running head, is it just kind of trial and error to figure out what's the clearest thing that fits well in the parameters? Because I could think sometimes that might be tricky depending on how lengthy the textbook title is and how to decide your running head.
It's typically a transcriber decision. I'm sure there may be some guidelines in there. I mean, formats may talk about it, but it's pretty simple. Like I have this long one, the bridge connections, or home connections, bridges in math, and I pick out the thing that is going to be most used by
Mm-hmm.
the actual title, Home Connections 3. That one was pretty easy. I've had other ones where it'll say Math 4 volume, but I Ready Math 4 volume 1, and that's the title of the book. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to, it's pretty much, I would just do like Math 4. I think it's a kind of a
Okay.
common
Okay.
sense
That
experience.
makes sense.
If
I
you
was just
need to,
curious.
yeah. Okay.
Great. Thanks.
Special symbols and transcribers notes pages. The special symbols page is a list of symbols found in the volume that may be unfamiliar to the reader. They're not in just your standard literary portion of UEB. It might be things like the transcriber's note symbols. We'll take a look at those later. Formats gives details. There is I will show how to, yeah, options. You can create your own special symbols page, but once you've done one, you don't want to have to create from scratch again. Some people will just copy and paste. I copy and paste and then edit. There is Jonathan Powers has created a video on his YouTube channel. Okay, this is the link. This has the link to it, and has an excellent demo on how to do this and how to demonstrate how to create your own templates. So I'll demonstrate using it later. It's pretty simple, but creating your own templates would be that's a good. I'm probably going to do that soon. I've got my system, and sometimes my system gets archaic, and I think, oh, there's these faster ways to do it. So special symbols page. No, we did that. The transcriber's note page. If a special format or usage occurs more than once in a volume, included on the transcriber's note page. Definitely things like the manuals that you're using have to be included. and then other things that come up. I'll show examples in the demo. If you copy and paste, so for me, when I'm doing the next volume in a particular book, now let's say I'm starting a book and I want to use another book where I had a special symbols page and transcriber's note page. I don't think this is a problem anymore in Braille 2000, but in some of the older versions, if I were to copy and paste my special symbols and transcriber's note page, copy them from the old title and paste them into a new book I'm doing, my first volume, it took me a while to catch on that it was bringing over the annotations. And the annotations are things that set, every time you set a page number or a running head or something like that in Braille 2000, even a return line, there's an annotation. I'll show where they are, what they look like. Again, I don't think this is going to be a problem, but it would be confusing because let's say I'm doing Home Connections 3, and all of a sudden my running heads have changed to Math 4. And it's like, what is that from? That's the other book. What is this? And so I learned, I think I reached out to customer support, and Bob said, this is what you do, and find the annotations, and I could delete that. So I will show that as a quick demo. This is the, it will be Alt S, not Alt S. Yeah, Alt S for search, then find annotations, go to running heads, pagination, and you can remove. And again, that's something I'll show if we have time. Using bookmarks in Braille 2000. I'll be using these throughout the demo, and I'll show how to set them toward the end. First, just to give an idea of how I use them, just to navigate between different sections of the text. This is an example, navigating between, say, transcription and the special symbols page. But wherever I am in a file, I always set a bookmark at the end of the day, which is a lot nicer than, years ago when I'd have to go back and now what print page was I on and where is it in here? Oh my goodness. So the bookmarks just get me there quickly. And the command is panel, which is Alt P, bookmarks, I enter B, and then you either set or jump to. And there are 3 options. So I'll demonstrate that later. Book cover and jacket.
Great. Well,
Oh,
before we move on, I do want to find out who in our audience already utilizes bookmarks in Braille 2000, is familiar with how to do it and has their process. So do you use bookmarks in Braille 2000? Yes, all the time. No, I didn't know I could do that. Or unsure. Take just a minute to fill that out. It looks like our group's pretty split so far. All right, I'll go ahead and end our poll, share the results. So well over half of you either didn't know you could do that or aren't sure about if they've used them before. So that's great. So it definitely demoing how to set bookmarks will be great,
yeah.
Rosemary.
So much fun. It'll be so much easier. Good. Okay. All right. So the book jacket uncovered, what does that have to do with the first volume? Well, any information, a lot of times it doesn't happen, but sometimes I'm just going to hold this up a picture of it later. Say the back of this book has information on it, and that's in my demo later. But that kind of information, if it's relevant to might be about the series or something like that, usually goes in the preliminary pages. It goes right before the table of contents on the first front matter page. So I will demonstrate that. You precede it by a transcriber's note at the top of the page that says the following material is from the back cover of the book. That's taken right from Formats. That's their recommendation. And you can include stuff that's on the jacket that's not included inside within the text. Not advertising material or anything like that. I typically examine the print text and book cover for jacket information. You can use the Braille 2000 search to locate that information within the NIMAS file. Sometimes it's put in the NIMAS file, sometimes not. I'll demonstrate that later. And it only goes in the first volume of the book. So you have it on page P1, your first volume, every other volume P1 will just be your table of contents portion. So, Liz, did you want to talk about
Oh,
this?
yeah, absolutely. So Alexa is putting a link in the chat to our one of our other transcribers created a brief NIMAS textbook exemplar. This is designed specifically for folks who aren't currently NIMAC users and don't have any access to NIMAS files to kind of practice in and test the different techniques and strategies that Rosemary is teaching you. Um, I did send out the XML file, which we realized the current version of is having an issue in Braille 2000. I think we may have figured it out. So if we do, if we are able to fix that, I will send that out to you all as soon as possible. But in the meantime, we were able to convert that file to a BRF that you can open directly in Braille 2000 and benefit from it there and be able to do the exact same things with practicing all of the formatting. So that link in the chat that Alexa just shared is to a zipped folder that contains the BRF file, which is just a direct conversion of the NIMAS file, and it has all the formatting and everything that you'll be able to benefit from in Braille 2000. And the folder that I shared to you all yesterday also includes a PDF of all of the pages. So, and this is a kind of a common misconception about NIMAS, but just to reiterate, when you download a NIMAS file, the PDF is just of the title and copyright pages of the book. It's not the full book. But in this case, we wanted you to have the quote unquote source material as well as the NIMAS file so you could really work with it, see all of the formatting and everything in the source material. So that PDF does contain all of the contents of the XML file.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we are going to do a demo now, just an overview of the demo. Look at how to set up the transcriber generated pages, title, special symbols, transcriber's notes, and what to do with the back cover of the book info. Then how to set pages, how to incorporate running heads. I'm probably going in a different order. I go back and forth with pages and running heads. It's just, I think it's preference with which one makes more sense to you as you're um, setting up a file. And as I said, I'll be using bookmarks throughout the beginning portion of the demo and try and mention when I'm doing that to kind of whet your appetite. And then I'll go through the commands of how to do it a little further on. So with that said, I'm going to pass over the sharing to Liz. Well, I'm going to pass it to you and I'm going to stop.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. And I see someone mentioned that they don't think they received the file yesterday. So Alexa, if you could put the link also to the zipped folder that has that PDF and XML file in the chat. That way, if anyone didn't get it, then you will have the PDF as well. Um, We'll have that available to you. Alexa did also go ahead and put the exit survey link in the chat just in case anyone needs to hop off at some point during the demo and can't stay till the end. If you could please take a moment to complete the exit survey, it really helps us make sure that these sessions are geared towards what you need. And there's also a question at the end that's very important that gives you the chance to bring up any topics or questions you might have that you would like us to cover in one of the remaining sessions or session 6, the Q&A. So if you can please complete that brief exit survey at the end, that would be great. Oh, thanks, Alexa. Yeah, she just put the link in the chat. So if you download that one, that is the XML file, which will get you the corrected version as soon as we have it. And it also has the PDF. So you'll be able to use the PDF and then that BRF that we just shared with you today to practice. Thanks, Alexa. All right. Yep. Whenever you're ready, Rosemary, you can take it away. I know you're getting situated. I did see one person mention in the chat, Julie mentioned that you are not limited to just XYZ bookmarks and that you can actually name your own as well. So I guess she uses more bookmarks
Thank
too.
you. I had a feeling. Thank you, Julie. I think I've heard somebody talk about that. I haven't gone that far, but I'm sure it'd be useful to people. Okay, here we go. Share. So here is this page was taken right from the NIMAS file. In the NIMAS file, there is the PDF, as Liz said, typically just of the title page. This is the title page of the book that I'm going to be using. And so I want to take this information and put it in Braille 2000. And wait, actually do it this way. I'm going to just move this over here. I had Braille 2000 pulled up here. I don't know what to do with this with this panel with the screen. Okay. All right. So this is my NIMAS file when we come into it, when you have it, and the page is not set up like we want it to be. I'm going to cheat right here and jump over and show you a formatted page. This is what it should look like in the title page. And here we have, I'll turn on the print view. We have at the top our title section. In this particular book, there's no author listed, so we skip the author segment. And then there's the publisher and copyright down here. There is this statement right here is taken directly from the errata on the Formats website. That this statement is, there were other statements before about permission, so it now should say any further reproduction or distribution other than in an accessible format is an infringement. That's the statement that goes on there, or the errata in Formats. And you have the transcription section, transcriber's note, and the agency, and then at the bottom would be the volume information. So I have to get all of that out of this title page and any other information in the NIMAS file. The first thing I'm going to do is turn on my little green thing to green line there. I always have my interpreter on and my spelling on. The title is already up here, so I'm going to start there. At some point, maybe, Liz, a poll question would be if the preference for looking at Braille View or print. I'm trying to go back and forth between them. Not now, but maybe that just came to me. I work most easily in Braille View because I've been doing it for so long, but I know some people prefer the print. So anyway, here's my title, Bridges in Mathematics, 3rd edition, grade 3, home connection. Well, there's another thing in the errata in Formats that says it needs to be in a different order. So first I'm going to delete the bold indicators at the beginning and end. Tomorrow we'll show how to do larger global changes of emphasis. I'm going to move this to the edge. I could have done that with 2 deletes, but I have a speed Braille key for that. I'll cover those later. So here's my title. According to the errata in Formats, you start with the order is book title, series name, grade level, subtitle, and edition name or number in that order on the first line or lines of the title page. I cannot remember that yet, so I'm going to look back and forth, and I just see the home connections is the book title. I'm going to highlight that. Control X to cut it, move my cursor back to the beginning of the first line and paste it there and put in a space. I'm going to put Bridges in Mathematics. The series name is on the next line. Then it's supposed to be edition. Ah, that's what that is. Try this first. So I have 3rd edition. I just hit enter there to move that down, go to the end of the line, hit delete, and it takes me to brings up the word from the line below. This little yellow triangle, I don't know if you can see it, there's a yellow triangle at the end of the word edition. It's an annotation. If I hover over it, it tells me it's an annotation for line break, SRC node. I'm just going to, if I were to take that out, if I were to click on that, it's not giving me the option to, all right, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to put a space in there and it's not a problem anymore. Go down to the next line, grade 3, go to the beginning of the line. I inadvertently deleted the capital, so I put that in. There's my title section. Now, the title segment can either be all on one line, on separate lines like that, or let's say I have too much information on the page to fit everything else in. We can put semicolons between sections. See, I'm entering a semicolon with Braille code. I'm in print. And then a space, and hit delete, and bring up the series name. Third edition, I can put a semicolon at the end of that line, and I have to do this in Braille mode. I don't know what I just did. Third edition, that annotation's back. It's annoying. To get rid of the annotation, I just hit enter. Now I'm going to hit delete, and my semicolon of grade 3. So that's another way to do it. Depends on filling your title page. I'm not going to format the whole title page today because that takes a long while. I'm very, very careful the first time, but I'll go over and just show you again the formatted one. I did a little differently on here. I was able to fit everything on the page and leave blank lines between the segments, but it ran the bottom. If I put these all on separate lines, it runs my print page numbers onto the next page. You can delete lines. There are some guidelines for how important it is to leave sections together and whatever, but this is basically what it's going to look like in the title page. So for right now, I'm going to do the other thing that I would do if I have a volume I've already done in a series, or if I have a volume I've already done in a book, I'll copy a title page and then paste it. Another option. So I'm going to go back here for the sake of time and just paste this title page in here. This isn't kind of an important thing. Wherever the annotations are, again, there's an annotation here. It's for print page number. Sometimes the annotations, if I try to enter stuff at the beginning of a page, it will jump it to the page above, or they interfere. So I find myself always going down a little bit, pasting. I just paste it in that time, and then I go back to the top and remove that blank line. It's safer. So there's my title page. Going back to Braille View. Let's go on to this, looking over here at this title page from the NIMAS file, the print one, the print PDF, which shrank. I look further down, and the information in the blue box is what I want to put on a second title page. Not every book will have a second title page, but this had some information decided to use. So I'm going to look at this and search for it in the NIMAS file. Bridges in Mathematics is a standard-based K-5 curriculum that provides, how do I go over? I thought I could. Well, provides a unique blend, whatever is filled. So I'm going to take some of that text and copy and paste it. I mean, copy it and search for it. I'm not going to search for bridges in mathematics because it'll be all through the book. I'll just pick out curriculum that provides and see if I can find it that way. So here, back in Braille 2000, I do search, find, and I enter curriculum that provides, and I search from the top because it's in the NIMAS file somewhere. It's not far down because we're at the beginning of the book. I lost it. Search, find, it's still there. Go from the top again. Now I have, I'm here in the file. It jumped ahead. This is the paragraph that I want, the bridges in math. So I'm just going to go up with my cursor and go to the beginning of that paragraph and highlight it. I'm going to highlight the next paragraph. The Math Learning Center is a nonprofit organization, and so on. and the note goes as far as the end of the website. So I've highlighted that, I copy it, Control C. I forgot to set my bookmark. I would have set a bookmark. I just go back to the top of this page, come to the beginning of the second page and paste, Control V. And there it is. So that's my second title page. And see it in print. That's all I need on there. So I'll be going to the next page. But before I do that, I'm going to enter my running head. Nope, I'll start with the page numbers. I can take a vote. Let's go back to the page numbers and enter page numbers here. Bottom of the first page is the T1. Command is D for do. Page control, no, page numbering is P. I enter that. Textbook, a quick setup for textbook is already entered. I go to the Braille page number. It's got a default of 1. I'm going to make that T1. No print page number. Select OK. And you'll see T1 at the bottom of that page. The entire book has been set with T pages. I can go all the way to the end, and it's T173. So Braille 2000 will keep those T's until I change it. I'm going to go back to the beginning of that second title page and scroll to the end of that information. Now I have a bunch of information here that I don't need. I don't actually need. This is the rest of the information at the beginning of the NIMAS file, going down to this ISBN. All this was on that second title page. I'm going to highlight that and delete it. Braille 2000 tells you how many cells you're going to delete. I just say yes, I want to do that. Now I'm at the end of my second title page and I want to go to the next page. To advance Braille page numbers, do N for next print page. Why? Oh, did I say next print page? My mistake. Erase that. I don't have any print pages yet, so I want to do DC for page control, which is what I did before. This is the box that pulls up, and I just select OK, and it takes me to the next Braille page. So now, before I go any further, I'm going to go back and enter the running head. You can do these in different orders. I get bothered by seeing this white space at the top because I usually work with running heads. If you don't have a running head, you just put your text right at the top there. That's also an agency preference. They'll tell you if you need a running head or if they want a running head or not. So at the top of the page, enter do. I'll scroll down the first time. After that, I use the keys. Running head is R. And here's the window. I've decided on Home Connections 3. You can enter these in print, you'd have to be in print view. I just do it in Braille view. So there's my Home Connections 3. It will show on all pages. I select OK, and there it is at the top. I can scroll through the file. Again, you see it's on every page in the file. And it will not be changed by adding or text before or after it. So now I'm going to go to the next page after my title page, and this is going to be my transcriber's note page. I'm going to enter transcriber's notes. Now I've created a speed Braille key for headings. I'll cover speed Braille keys later. That goes as a centered heading, so there it is. And this information is from further in the text. How do I get I just set a bookmark. Text, I'm going to a finished book, finished file, going to my transcriber's note page there. I did this when I practiced. You don't put the transcriber's note page next, you put the special symbols notes page. Sorry about that. Let's just go, let me finish transcriber's notes since I got started on that. I'll show you how to insert things ahead of time. I'm going to copy this transcriber's note page from another volume, come back into this newly formatted volume. I'm going to move this transcriber's note page to the next Braille page because it doesn't belong here. And I can advance manually or just tell it do C for page control, enter, and it moved down. Okay, then I'm going to use my speed Braille key to get to the margin and paste. There's my transcriber's notes. We'll look in print at what kind of things are in here. There's a list in formats of what to put in here. So I have the Unified English Braille. Now I have to go back. This is a recent one I started. I have to go back and check these against formats because some of these dates, they have, if there's errata or addendum, an addendum added to a manual, we want to include that on the transcriber's note page. Things like paragraphs are blocked in print but are indented in Braille because this is a UEB book and technically everything's supposed to be blocked with blank lines in between, but for whatever reason, a lot of us prefer to do the paragraphs, and I think it's what the readers are used to. But you just put that into transcriber's note. Lesson and session numbers not shown at the top of print pages are shown in Braille only on the first page of each appearance. Things like that. Again, that's somewhere in formats, something about that. If it's material that's in the print on every page as a marker, we don't need that in Braille. We put that note on here. So those are some samples. Formats will give you a lot of information on what to do there. Now I'm going to go back to that special symbols page that I didn't do. So it did something funny. Oh no. How did that? I'm in the wrong book. Am I in the format? Okay, here we go. It was showing. All right, that's the beginning of my transcriber's note page. So here's the special symbols page. Special symbols page goes after the title page. I'm going to put a bookmark here so I can get back to it. And I'm going to choose Y because X is the one that I use most as a default. When I'm further off in a halfway through a book and I want to go check something else out or look at another part or end for the day, I'll set the bookmark to jump to that location. And I do X automatically. So if I want to do one at the beginning here, I have to concentrate, make it something different. So I'm going to select Z. That just means when I want to get back to the beginning of my special symbols page, I can search for the bookmark Z. So the feature in Braille 2000, there are a couple options. I can copy and paste from another book. Or I can special symbols. Yeah, the Braille 2000 feature is File. So it's Alt F will take you into File. And so yeah, I do it and then I'm File, Import. I scroll down in the pop-up window to the right, select that. I have an option to append or insert. I go down to insert. There are three options: Braille file, print file, or template file. When I select template file, this pulls up in Braille 2000. This is the only template file in here right now. You can apparently create your own template files, but this UEB special symbols, it's an RTF. And what it's going to do, I wouldn't do this at the beginning. If I do this, I would do it at probably the end of a volume because it will find all of the special symbols that have been embedded in that volume. Now, this NIMAS file already has special symbols in it that came in, so it's going to show some up right now. But if I've added more, let's say you're going through your file and you find symbols that aren't in the NIMAS file, or it's something you're creating, a special symbol, or it might be math. There might be things that are not in this. Um, at that point, it won't find those. So that's why you do this at the end. So this is going to pull out all the symbols that are in this particular NIMAS file. Just quick select there, just nothing to change here. Just click OK. And there it entered the special symbols used in this volume. Just scroll through. So it has the symbol at the left, the description at the right. Do it in Braille. The kind of things that are in there. So that's how you import a special symbol page with Braille 2000. And again, the link in the slide earlier will take you to a YouTube video that shows how to do this. This process I just did also shows how to create your own templates in Braille 2000. And I think he's got something in there about how to do them in Word too. So extremely helpful. I'll be sharing a couple of those videos throughout this course because I encourage you to go to that YouTube page, Braille Tips. It's clear presentation, simple, easy to follow. It amazes me because I'm like, I've been agonizing over this. It's easier than trying to figure it out in Braille 2000 unless you're really like reading through all the manual. So there we are with our preliminary pages. We have our title page, just special symbols, transcriber's note page. Now I'm getting to the next part of it. I'm going to advance to the next Braille page, do P for page. Nope, said that wrong. Wrong command. Don't my finger. Do C for page control and go to the next page just with an enter. This, you'll notice the title here and the table of contents. I'm not going to do a lot with that today. We will do the table of contents tomorrow, the next session, but I am going to put the page number here. D, P for page number. Notice it has T7 because that's where I am. I'm ready to T. It's the 7th page, but I'm going to change that to P1. So set bookmark. So I'm going to come back there. That was my X. There's the P1, and we have P pages all the way through the file until we change something. So this is, again, here's the annotation that just showed up for, well, that was an annotation for a bookmark. This is the annotation for print page, the Braille page number, and a page break. So that's what those are about. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to what I do with this blue shading. Again, it's blue. If you want to use the shading at any point, you can put different colors behind it. In Braille 2000, it's been formatted. Braille 2000 has read the table of contents as a table, but I can't edit within there. And there's a wonderful editing tool for setting up a table of contents. So I'm just going to change that. I'm going to scroll to the bottom of that blue shading. Go to do. No, go to adjust. Now it's do. Edit. Edit. Scroll down to as plain text. Just select enter. Complete blocks must be adjusted. Your selection has been expanded. I just say okay, it works. And so that blue shading has been taken out, and that means I can now edit within the table of contents, which we will do next time. In the meantime, oh, before the table of contents, though, I have back matter on the back of this book, and that's supposed to be on the first page of the table of contents. So let's do that. Took this screenshot of the back of the book. But since I'm on this computer, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to go to the, I can read here what it says. So my options are I'm going to look for this in the text, first of all. You're the reason we created Imagine I Am. That might not be in the text. Sometimes the large bolded titles are not in the NIMAS file. So I'm going to come down here and look at this next part. You're a mathematician. You think about problems and so on and so forth. I'm going to go into my Braille 2000. And from right here, I've set a bookmark to get back to this. And I'm going to do a search. Search F for find and enter you're a mathematician. And I'm going to search from the top, or I can search from the cursor. I know it's up above, but I'll search from the cursor. I get the message not found. I tested this a couple times to make sure it wasn't my entry that was wrong. It's just basically not in here. So it's on the back of the book. The NIMAS file doesn't get over the, and all of those. I have a couple of options. I can type this directly, or I can use the PDF. So this file is, pull this back over here. In the image, no, it's not the image file. It's the PDF in the NIMAS file. I'm going to click on that and it opens. So I get the front of the page. Oh, no, it's not this one. Sorry. This page doesn't have any, this book does not have any information on the back title. I just wanted to show you this. So if you do, this is where it would go. So I'm going to go to another file that I know has another book that has back matter on the back. Here's the one I showed you earlier. So this information I can copy. Braille 2000, you can insert XML file, you can insert a BFRF. It will also open RTF, Word, and now and PDF. If you enter it, not open them, you enter it. And so I highlighted that. Actually, I think it did this too. Just going to highlight the whole information. Copy. Go back to my place in Braille. This is going to be a hodgepodge book, just showing how to format. I'm going to go here to the top of that page P1 and paste. And that's what I get. So look at it. It's not going to be as perfect, but you solve problem. Like I notice here, there's a missing word. You solve problems, so I can enter that. I can enter that directly. Hit my delete, and it pulls up from the next line. Just editing from the PDF. Opportunities. And I'm going to go back and proofread this because it looks like something's not quite right there. And then in Braille 2000, in the Braille mode rather, I'll go back and I'll do a little more formatting. This will be a cell 5 heading. I like that. And I'm deleting the bold type. We created Imagine I Am. Oh no, that actually is part of the, you are the reason we created Imagine I Am. So I'll do a paragraph with the speed Braille key. Just starting my paragraphs in cell 3. And so on and so forth. So again, I'd go back and proofread that later, but for right now, I'm just going to pretend that that is in this book to show how we do this. Then we go to the
Thanks for,
next.
Rosemary, I do want to point something out about NIMAS files too, just so people know. Sometimes the covers will be included in the NIMAS PDF. This is an example. That's why Rosemary showed that specific example, but they often are not because it's not required. So sometimes you will find that actually in the images folder. Sometimes the cover is provided as an image instead of in the PDF. So just so you all know, sometimes you'll find that cover in the images folder instead.
Now I'm curious to see if it was in it, but they didn't need it in this one because
Yeah, because it's already in the PDF.
yeah,
Exactly. Yep.
very smart. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to advance to my next Braille page again. D, I'll do page control, C, and go down there. Then I would set up my table of contents, which we will do later. I'm going to leave this book formatted because this is what we're going to continue with. But let's come to the end of my table of contents here. And the next page, and again, here's where the print page numbers are inserted automatically in Braille 2000. So for the rest of the file, they'll be there. This is on print page 1, unit 1, addition and subtraction review. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is the first body of the text. I'm going to try, does that work in there? It does. Okay. That gray line, if you want to get rid of it, just go to the next line, annotation, and hit enter. They're automatic spaces that have been included. I don't think it shows up in an embossed file, but sometimes I just need it out of the way because it doesn't, it's, look at that later, what I do with that. But I'm now on the first page of text. However, the first page of text, notice, first of all, the last P page was a P6. So this is now a right-facing page, odd number. That's as it should be. If this was an odd number here, I would want to leave another blank page before the first page of text. And that's the same for the table of contents. And that's kind of mentioned in, I think that's mentioned in formats. And sometimes it's an agency decision whether the special symbols page should be on the right facing page or whether it can be right behind the table of the title page. So I always check that with the agencies, see their preferences. There might be some blank pages in your preliminaries. All right. I have to get rid of that running head because it's not supposed to be there because this is the first page of text. The way I do that is I scroll up to the page above and I delete, which takes me to the beginning of the print page. Now I could tell this to move down, do C for page control and hit it, and it still has the running head in there. So I'm going to show you what to do. Put my cursor right under that line, do C for page control. And here's where, if you notice the list, we've pulled this page up several times. Under page attributes, I can hide running on the next page. It's a page break to the next page. I can hide the running head, hide a print number, no print reference, whatever that means, hide Braille number, page must be full. I'm just going to pick hide running head, select OK, and it jumps to the next page, and there's my text and no running head. So this is the first page of print text, but it's got to have the title on it. I'm going to set a bookmark here. Why don't I show you how I'm doing that right now? That's not too confusing. So to set my book part, I want to jump back to this. I've done this several times, and I want to jump back to this page after I find my heading. So the commands are P, panel, bookmark is B, and then I can either jump to or set. I'm going to set because I want to come back here. Select set. I'm going to make it X because I just do that by typing X. Now I can go to the end of the book with Control End and enter search for the bookmark. Search. B for bookmark. Nope. We go through this. Yeah. Oh, M. Search M for bookmark. Here it is. M. And X, I'm going to look for my X. And it took me back to that first page. So I'm going to come back to this again. Now I'm going to go to the beginning. I want the full title of the book here. I'm going to jump to the beginning. That's Control Home, which is easy. I'm going to highlight these 3 lines. Home Connections, Bridges and Mathematics, 3rd edition, grade 3. Copy them, Control C. I'm going to jump back to my bookmark. Search M for mark. This is what my fingers know. X, and I jumped back there, and I'm going to paste. I'm not going to paste on the top line because that annotation sometimes messes me up, and it might end up pasting up here, the page above, and so it's just easier to paste it here. Control V, go to the top page and hit delete. And now I'm going to place it where I want it. That's Home Connections. I have a speed Braille key for center. I just enter a C and what's that about? That's my heading. I'll show you this. These are the speed Braille keys I'll cover one of the upcoming sessions. If I highlight that entire title, I can move it to the margin just by entering my speed Braille key for cell 1 and everything in cell 1, and that's an H. Or I can move it back to center like that. So it's supposed to be centered. And then my text starts. So the other thing I need to change, because I'm on the first page of text, is the page number. It's no longer, it's not, we don't want it to be P7. So I'm back to pagination. D, do, Alt D. Page number. And I'm going to change the bottom one to just number 1. And this time I'm going to change the print as well, because the beginning of the text. In this book, the print page number 1 is on the first page. Sometimes table contents has page numbering, so that's something to look at and enter those if it does, but this does not, so just enter OK. There's my page number, and I scroll down. If you look at the bottom right, you see the page numbers are progressive all the way through.
And Rosemary, I believe you mentioned during the slides that occasionally the first print page number might be like 3. And so that's when you put the range, right? Instead of just the single number.
Yeah, so if this print page number, let's say that the print started on page 5. Then when I enter it, I can go back here and change the page numbers by do page number. And I would go to this and I would say 1 to 5. Now this is telling me I'm not actually going to put that in there right now. This is a conflict because Braille 2000 has pulled in the numbering. And if I do that, it's going to mess things up. But I have the option of correct all, correct, or cancel, and I'm going to click cancel. Oh, okay. It entered it, but it did not mess with the other ones. Nice. I thought it, okay, so this is page 2, and I just have a major error on my first page. So I'll go back and fix that. Do P for page number. The tab advanced, I use the tab usually, and sometimes I use it too fast and I jump ahead of where I want to be. But I'm just going to make this 1. So that's
Great. Thank you so much, Rosemary. Let me look through the chat and see if anyone has any questions, or at this point, you're also welcome to unmute and ask questions. I know one person mentioned earlier that they have a speed Braille key set for next page. So I guess that's an option too for navigation purposes. And someone else had said they do that as well.
okay. Yeah, I think I've heard that. My fingers just go at the N, or P, whichever it is. Because keep in mind there are guidelines. I'm sure she knows this or he knows this, that there are different commands for next print page and next Braille page.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? Also interested in hearing from folks. You're welcome. Again, you can unmute or put in the chat, but love to hear about something that you learned today. Or if you have any, like questions or things you're looking forward to coming up in next sessions, we'd love to hear about that too. That'll help us to focus those sessions on what you're most interested in. But I'd love to hear from folks about something that you learned today. I know over half of our group aren't currently NIMAC users and may not have worked with NIMAS files before. So I'd imagine that for some folks, it might be a lot of information all at once. But I know we have some folks with us today who also are expert transcribers themselves. So maybe it's more about learning a new way to do something differently. And keep an eye on the chat.
Not this one.
Oh, Paulo said that he learned about bookmarks. Oh, good. And it's also, if people also want to, mention in the chat if you have a preference between mostly looking at the print view or the Braille view or how you tend to work in Braille 2000, that's helpful for us too. I know Rosemary's preference is the Braille view. And I'm sure I can see how you would get really focused on however you like to look at the material you're working with, but definitely curious if folks have a preference, both when they're learning and when they're working.
I could point out another little thing here or two if this is a good time, or I'm going to wait on that.
Julie says, I need to see dots. Oh, Paula says that he flips back and forth between the Braille and the print view. I can see the appeal of that for sure. All right, Connie prefers the Braille view. Leslie prefers the print view. All right, so definitely divided. So maybe it's good how you've been doing it so far, Rosemary, where you kind of show both from time to time. I think that might work well for since we have folks who prefer both.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to show, this is something I meant to show as I imported this, just the transcriber's note page and here's where this little red spelling thing comes in handy. Um, I thought, what is that? And somehow there had been I know how it happened, but there was an error. Let me show what this did. So spacing, a space was inserted somewhere in the incoming file, and so it left a misspelled word. So I use I use the red to find things sometimes. And I'll just go there and edit it. And there it is. It makes it go away. I thought, what is that doing in there? Fix that.
Yeah, that's definitely very helpful
Yeah.
for sure. All right. And Alexa, if you could put in the chat again, also the exit survey link for folks who didn't catch it earlier, please do complete the exit survey for us so that we know what you're interested in hearing more about in upcoming sessions and to get your feedback on this session. We really appreciate it. It helps us make sure that what we're doing is useful for you all as the folks who are working with NIMAS files. So thank you in advance for participating in that. We do still have a few more minutes, so if anyone else wants to chime in on something they learned or something you're interested in an upcoming session, please do. With that, I will go ahead and stop our recording.